What is up, guys? Justin here with what could be the finds of the season in week 2 at the garage sales. Actually, this whole weekend was just insane for video game pickups. I'm going to split it up into 2 separate videos because to do it in one will be like a half-hour long, and I don't want to bury any of these amazing finds somewhere in a half-hour video. So this part 1 is going to be probably the part that some of you have already been anticipating. My insane find all from one garage sale on Friday morning. If you checked out our Facebook page, you might have seen the, I guess, sort of reaction video that I posted immediately after getting all this stuff. But for anyone who didn't see it, it's a real quick video. I'm going to insert that right here, and then I will recap everything that I got from that sale. Okay, I just had to pull over on the side of the road, give myself a chance to breathe here, crank my AC, and try to cool down from this incredible garage sale find that I just got. Check this out. So this is stuff from earlier in the morning, and this is the box of stuff I just picked up. It might not look like too much on top, but there are a couple games in there that I'm already deeming the finds of the season. I could not take all of the money I had out of my wallet fast enough and just throw it at these people having this sale for all their video game stuff. Absolutely incredible. I still have more garage sales to hit, so I better go. But pickup video coming soon. So here's kind of the quick rundown of what happened. I was getting towards the end of my list of sales that I had to hit for the morning, and I drove over to what was advertised as a community sale. I knew, though, just based on where it was, that it wasn't going to be like this big community sale or anything, and it wasn't. There was just like 3 or 4 sales that were set up. But the first one that I drove up to, while I was parking my car, I noticed that they had a Gamecube system sitting up on one of their tables. So I sprinted up there, and that's when I noticed that they didn't just have a Gamecube system, they had a lot of video game stuff at this sale. And so I'm not going to try and like build suspense and save the couple gems that I got for the end of the video. I'll just give it to you guys straight right now. The first game that I saw when I walked up there was a copy of Earthbound. And so I scooped this up. I'm kind of kicking myself a little bit for not trying to get some video of this sale, but I hope you guys can understand that when I got up there and had this in my hands, trying to take out my phone and discreetly film this sale was like the last thing on my mind. It was more so like, no, put a death grip on this game and don't let go until it is safely home with you. Which is pretty much what I did. I mean, I don't think I put this game down the entire time that I was at the sale. So as I had this in my hand and kind of like brought in my view of the rest of the game stuff they had, I realized that Earthbound was not the only gem that they had at this sale. So I will move on to actually the only other Super Nintendo game that was at the sale, which was a boxed copy of Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. And it's not in the greatest shape. The box is pretty worn. It's missing one of the tabs here, and I believe it's missing the manual as well. But the poster and the game were in there, and I think I already have this one complete anyway, but it was still cool to see it in the box again. And then I'll show the Super Nintendo system that I got. This is what Earthbound was sitting on top of when I initially walked up there. It's a pretty good condition system. It's a little bit yellowed on the top, but it's not cracked or chipped or anything that I can see. And I believe it came with the power cord and AV cord. I know I have the power adapter for it for sure. I've got a big box of like cables and stuff over here that I'm not going to show individually, but it did come with a couple controllers too, first party controller and then one of these SN Pro Pad controllers. And that was all for the Super Nintendo stuff. So I'll move on next to the only NES item that they had at this entire sale. There was no NES system or anything, there was just this one lone game, Spy vs. Spy. So, because I can't complain with that. Next up, I'll quickly show the N64 stuff that I got. Just like the NES, there was no N64 system, although oddly enough, I think I got an N64 power adapter in the box of cables that they gave me, which makes me wonder if maybe they did have it and just didn't bring it out or couldn't find it or something, but there was a couple games that they had for it. Nuclear Strike 64 and Mario Kart 64. So next up I'll show the Gamecube stuff. So this was the system that I saw from the road as I was parking my car, and kind of the reason that I sprinted up to the sale. But they didn't have just one Gamecube, they actually had 2 Gamecube systems here. And I know I got one power adapter for him for sure. I'm not sure if there was two in there or not, but there was a few controllers that it came with. We got a first-party Indigo controller, and then one of these black GameStop brand controllers with something rattling inside of there. And then there was also a Wavebird controller in here. Now, I don't believe I got a receiver for this, but oddly enough, if you check out part 2 of this garage sale weekend series, I randomly found a Wavebird receiver at a sale later on Saturday. So I guess this one will be complete now. So next up I'll show the GameCube games. There wasn't too many of them, and actually there was just a couple of them that were in their cases. We got Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow and Rampage Total Destruction, which I believe I still needed this one for my collection. And then there was this case of loose disc GameCube games here. There's not too many in here. I'll just read them off quick. We got Enter the Matrix, Disc 1. These were actually kind of cool. We got Mario Kart Double Dash and Kirby Air Ride. Next up, Enter the Matrix, Disc 2, Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow, which makes me wonder if there was a game in this case. Nope, it's empty, so that's the game that goes in that case. Next up, it was Air Combat, the Elite Missions, it's an Army Man game, and then finally we got the Mario Kart Double Dash bonus disc. I kind of wish this one would have came in the case. I don't think I have the Double Dash and bonus disc combo yet for my collection. But yeah, that was all the GameCube stuff. Next up I'll show the Dreamcast stuff. They actually had a Sega Dreamcast system at this sale, which I believe had a game in it. Yes, Seaman. One of the more bizarre video games that I have ever played. I believe that the Dreamcast had the cords for it, and it had a first-party controller with a VMU in there, and then it had the microphone attachment, which is required to play Seaman. And then there was no Dreamcast games other than the disc that was in the system, but of course you got to have your Dreamcast web browser, right? So yeah, that was all the Dreamcast stuff that I got. And I believe the rest of the stuff I'm going to show in this video is all PlayStation stuff. The bulk of it being PS1 games. Now, oddly enough, there was no PS1 system included in this deal, but there was a PS2 Slim system, which I believe had a game in it. Yeah, Star Trek Encounters. So that was, I guess, the only PS2 game that I got with the whole deal. But yeah, the system had the cords for it and a first-party controller. I think there was some memory cards in the bottom of the box too, maybe a couple memory cards for the GameCube too. But yeah, the rest of the stuff I'm going to show, and the bulk of this deal actually was PS1 games, and I will save the one PS1 gem for the end, so stick around for that. But I'm going to start going through these here. We got Final Fantasy VIII, which I don't think I even opened it to see if all the discs were in here. We got Disc 4, Disc 2, Disc 1, and Disc 3. So yeah, they're all in there. No manual on that one though. Next up we got Driver, You Don't Know Jack, NBA Live 97, loose disc copy of Resident Evil, Silent Hill. This case is pretty beat up, but it is complete. I can always switch out the case. It's cool to find that one black label. Resident Evil Survivor, one of the ones I was pretty excited to get. I don't believe I have this one yet. I might have all the other Resident Evil games except for this one. And this one looks like it's in really nice shape too. Star Wars Masters of Terrascasi, no manual, and forgive me if I mispronounced that name. I've never been the biggest Star Wars guy. Populous The Beginning, Soviet Strike, South Park Rally, Final Fantasy Origins. I was very excited to get this one. I've got all like the traditional, I guess, Final Fantasy games from the PS1, but I know that I did not have this one. So it's really nice shape, complete black label. Vigilante 8, Second Offense. A loose disc Alien Trilogy. Another one I was really pumped to get, Final Fantasy Tactics, which I have owned Greatest Hits, I believe, in the past, but I've never had a complete black label copy of this one. So that was pretty exciting. We got Destruction Derby, loose disc, NFL Game Day 97, the original NFL Game Day, just a loose disc. Chrono Cross, so it was pretty cool. It's complete, really nice shape. This is just a demo disc, PlayStation Underground Jam Pack. Rainbow Six, Destruction Derby 2, Twisted Metal 2, NFL Game Day 98, Twisted Metal 3. This guy must have loved his Twisted Metal and NFL Game Day games, and of course his RPGs. NASCAR 98, Road Rash Jailbreak, WCW vs. the World, Space Invaders, Star Wars The Phantom Menace. Coming down to the end here, we got Triple Play 98, Psychic Detective. Now, there's a couple discs in here, disc 1 and disc 3. So, I'm assuming it's missing disc 2 and maybe a 4. I don't know if there was a 4. I don't know much about this game. For some reason, I think it was a early long box game. I could be totally wrong on that, though. The original Twisted Metal, Star Ocean, The Second Story. I believe I picked this one up last year at a garage sale, that sale where we got all that Genesis and Super Nintendo and PS1 stuff. But this one was complete. And then finally, the last game that I got, and the other gem that was in this entire lot, was a copy of Suikoden 2 for the PS1. Or Suikoden 2, I don't know, I've heard it both ways. I don't really care how it's pronounced, honestly. I was just super excited to get this. This is just one of those games that I never thought I'd own because I was never going to pay the $150 or whatever dollars it goes for online. But I do remember picking up Suikoden, the original one from Goodwill. That was a couple years now, I think I showed that in a video. But yeah, to get Suikoden 2, for the price that I ended up paying for everything was just absolutely insane. This one's definitely going in the collection. But speaking of what I paid for everything, let's get to that part. So I was a little bit nervous when I initially walked up there because just the way they had like Earthbound and like Suikoden displayed, they were kind of sitting on top of the stacks of games and showcased a little bit. So I thought for a second that whoever owned them might be a collector and know exactly what he has and have them all individually priced, but that was not at all the case. I finally found the person that was selling them, and I asked how much they were looking to get for them because none of them were priced or anything, and they had no idea. And I asked where they got them, and they said they were just left over from an old roommate years ago, and basically told me they had no emotional or nostalgic attachment to them. They were just looking to get rid of them. So my predicament was I didn't have a whole lot of cash on me at the time because I had just spent like $55 on like a bunch of Commodore stuff at a previous sale that I'll show in part 2 of the video. But I opened my wallet and I took all the money I had out of it. I made sure that they saw that it was all the money that I had, and it was $50. And I told them, hey, I've got $50 on me. If you're willing to let it all go for $50, I'd love to have it. Otherwise, I can just pick through some stuff maybe and come back later with some more cash. And they didn't even think about it for a second. They said, no, take it all for $50. We're just looking to get rid of it. She gave me a box, then I loaded it all up and took it all for $50. Absolutely insane deal. Like I said, kind of deeming this the finds of the season already. But that's not to say the rest of the weekend was a bust or anything. I actually did really well on Saturday too. Didn't find any more Earthbounds or Suikodens by any means, but I picked up a lot of stuff on Saturday, which will all be in part 2, which I'm going to hopefully film and upload ASAP after this video goes up. So, anyway, insane Friday morning. I don't know if I'm going to top this, but I'm definitely going to try. It's still early in the season, anything can happen, so thank you guys for sticking around and checking out part 1. Keep an eye out for part 2 coming soon. And until then, take care.